My ex and a popular actress were rumored to be dating. I rushed to get the scoop and ended up commenting on a gossip site. Is it true? Is it true? I forgot to switch accounts in my excitement. The next day, my ex showed up at my office. It's not true, Linda. I only like you. I had broken up with Felix because, as a top-tier actor, he was just too busy. The time he had for me was next to none. And me? I'm from a wealthy family with plenty of free time. I could fly to see Felix just because he said he missed me while filming. I'd be by his side if he wasn't feeling well. But Felix couldn't return the favor. He's filming 300 days a year, and attending brand events the rest of the time. He couldn't be there when I was sad or sick. So, after I messaged him about cramps and he took a day to reply, I called it quits. Felix immediately FaceTimed me, makeup still on from shooting, looking exhausted. He asked, rubbing his temples, why break up? Because you're too busy, without time for me. I need a real boyfriend, not one that's only on TV. Felix paused, then softly tried to soothe me. Come on, don't be mad. How about I buy you a bag after this shoot? I fell for Felix because of his voice. It always calmed me down. We had a 5-year relationship. Every shoot completed meant a designer bag from him. It was our little ritual. Before, a few soothing words would have worked, but I had too much pent-up resentment. I snapped, who wants your bag, Felix? I'm rich, I can buy my own. Break up. Then I hung up and blocked him everywhere, and texted my friend Monica. Felix and I broke up. He's so busy, we'd probably be alone at our wedding. Monica replied, it's not that bad, babe. I'll pick you up for dinner. By the time Monica arrived, I was sorting through things from my years with Felix. When we started dating, he was a B-lister. He blew up after a role in a wartime drama, especially with a photo of him in green military uniform on a horse. Fans went wild, and he gained 140,000 followers overnight. I loved his lines in the drama, especially, trust me. There's light ahead. I became a die-hard Felix fan. As a wealthy kid, I did what we do, used connections, through Monica, to meet fandoms. The next night, I was having dinner with Felix. It rained that night. Felix was in a private room, playing games in a white shirt and black pants. When I entered, he said softly, game over, someone's here. He pulled out my chair, offering his hand. Hi, I'm Felix. He started during college auditions, struggled for 3 years with bit roles before that breakout drama. He had a good eye for people because of it. Dinner was fun. Felix had to dash after, and I found him waiting in a mask and sunglasses for his assistant in the rain. I said, I'll drive you to the set. We exchanged contact info once there. As Felix left the car, I told him, I'll see you next time, Felix. He paused, then said, okay. We dated 5 years. I packed 2 big boxes of Felix's memorabilia to toss. Monica saw them, shrugged, you sure you want to dump all this? Yep. During dinner, we noticed all the young girls in the restaurant left for the movies. Monica was curious about what big release was out. I said, no need to check. Their favorite star has a new movie premiering. There's a shirtless scene. A guy at the next table burst out laughing. I looked and recognized him. It was Louis, Felix's colleague. He quickly removed his shades and winked. Just one look, and I knew it. Debuted later than Felix, younger than him too, started as an idol but went all in to be an actor. Surprisingly, turns out he's pretty good at it, picked up a few Best Actor awards and everything. Louis knows me. He worked with Felix on a project before, and I dropped by once. When I started to leave, he quickly caught up with me. Now, Louis isn't as popular as Felix yet, but as an idol, he has a crazy fan base. Not wanting any trouble, I planned to bolt right away. But then Louis loudly shouted sis-in-law behind me. I shot back, don't call me that. We broke up. A normal person would know that was game over for the conversation, but not Louis. He earnestly asked, "How long ago?" "This afternoon." Seeing that Louis was still trying to cling, I hurriedly dragged Monica along, and once we were in the car, I checked my phone. Sure enough, I had notifications. One was from a fan site of Felix the First Follow, posting a pic with him, urging everyone to support Felix's new movie. I stared at the pic for a while, then switched accounts and gave it a like. I've been with Felix 5 years and never posted a pic of us together online. Felix's popularity thrives on having girlfriend fans, no room for a sis-in-law. These fan site girls have posted countless pics with Felix, with some even interacting with him. And me, as the legit girlfriend, in a world where every comment under his posts calls him hubby, couldn't get mad. I had to smile and tell Felix, "Wow, hubby is amazing, more fans now." Even my friends, only Monica knew I was with Felix, given his unique situation. Over the years, I'd tell Felix the First could leverage my family's connections to support him, but he'd always gently decline. "Linda," he'd say, "I just can't. If we do that, there's no future for us." I pondered it and realized he was right. My dad is old school, all about marrying into the right family. Knowing I was dating Felix, he was surprisingly okay with it, but if he found out I was helping Felix with family connections, he'd lose it. Just after I liked the post, Felix's manager texted me. Felix planned to fly to City A to see me, with the flight info included for an 11 p.m. arrival. Having been with Felix for this long, I made friends with his manager, so I didn't feel like blocking or deleting them. I stared at the flight details for a while before pulling out an eyeshadow palette. Counting the pans, I said, "Go, don't go, go." At the last count, Monica, tired of hearing it, floored the gas, sending me straight home and pushed me out, saying, "Girl, if you still care, go. Stop dithering. Even if it's over, say it in person for closure." I waited until 3 a.m., but Felix didn't show up. Holding a big bouquet in the passenger seat, I got out of the car, only to spot Louis. Who knows why he was at the airport at that hour, black outfit, face masked with sunglasses, and a baseball cap pulled low. I wouldn't have recognized him, but Louis dashed straight toward me, throwing open the car door, jumping in, and waving. "Sis. Step on it." Looking back, I saw shadows chasing. Forget abandoning the flowers, I started the car and drove off fast. On the highway, I finally spoke to Louis. "What are you doing here?" "Well, the company said Felix is back today, so they wanted me to join him for a strong sisterly exchange. I wasn't going to, but my manager dragged me there." Gripping the steering wheel tighter, I asked as calmly as I could. "So, where's Felix?" Louis had already shed his mask and sunglasses, glanced at the flowers in the back seat, then back at me. "Sis, I get you're here to pick up Felix. I don't know what he told you, but he really came back to sign a renewal contract, plus he has dinner plans with some big shot director tomorrow." He continued, "People change. Now, some aren't worthy of the flowers you bring." As Louis finished, my phone rang. We exited the highway, and I pulled over to answer. It was Felix's manager. "Linda, here's the deal. Felix had a last-minute thing. Can he meet you the day after tomorrow?" Scrolling through the past message at 8 p.m., it read, "Linda, Felix is flying out to see you. Said he upset you, and he's coming to make amends." I replied, "No need, everyone's busy. Since it's over, let's not meet anymore." Then, I blocked the manager. Enough with this friendship, I didn't want it. This wasn't the first time. When Felix was working with Louis, Felix texted the night before saying he missed me and if I had time, to visit. I worked till midnight at my dad's company to wrap things up and flew out the next day to see Felix. He'd promised to pick me up, but I waited 5 hours at the airport, no sign of him. I called over 30 times, no answer, texts, all ignored. In the end, I took a cab. When I got to the set, Felix's manager came over, all smiles. "I'm so sorry. The lead actress had to step in last minute because Felix went for some training. I nodded and said it's no big deal. That night, Felix came back to the hotel really late. I asked him again. Honey, you work so hard every day. Should I help you get some resources? Holding me close, Felix said. You know, honey, being good to someone isn't just about words. So that night, I secured a leading role in a popular IP for Felix. Felix hugged me and said thank you. When I was leaving the set, I bumped into Louis. I know Louis. His family is famously loaded and big taxpayers. He's their only kid. Every time my dad talks about Louis, he sighs. I don't know what that kid wants. He won't take over the family business, he just wants to check out the entertainment industry. Why are you so bothered? Maybe it's his dream. Every time I'd say that, my dad would get all huffy. Louis saw me and came over to say hi. I smiled at him. You here too? Yeah. Are you here to see Felix? However Louis found out about me and Felix, I don't care. I just joked around. With how you and Felix are, you should call me sis-in-law. I drove Louis home, and when he got out, I stopped him. Your family's rich. Why listen to your agent? Louis put his mask and sunglasses back on, even in front of his own house. He's unrecognizable, not even by his mom. Yeah, but I promised my dad I'd make a name for myself. By the time I got home, the sky was just starting to lighten up. I checked my phone and saw Felix was on the trending page again, with some hot young actress named Judy. I know Judy, she starred with Felix in a sweet modern drama. The make-out scenes made them super popular. When that show aired, the chemistry between them got fans fighting. But I gotta admit, Felix and Judy gained a lot of fans from it. It's been 2 years since that show, but whenever Judy has a new project, fans bring Felix up for some buzz. Felix does the same thing. But this time, it's different. Judy's trying to rebrand herself, and Felix's recent works are all macho with no lovey-dovey drama. There's no reason to start drama about them being a couple again. I checked the trending topic. Paparazzi caught Felix getting into Judy's car at the airport this morning, then both headed to her place. Turns out Felix never left her neighborhood afterward. I glanced at the clock, it was 8 a.m., so that's where Felix was. He got into someone else's car instead of mine. I commented in the thread. Is this for real? And then went to sleep. Later that evening, my dad called. Linda. What were you thinking? Commenting from the company's official account. Turns out I forgot to switch from the company's Weibo account. Now I had countless friend requests, all from Felix and his manager. I was about to ignore and deal with it later when Louis messaged me, short and sweet. Sis, don't be upset. Felix being with me was his choice. I do like Felix, but more like a fan. To be honest, it's because he's good-looking and has a nice voice. Plus, Felix's emotional intelligence is high. It's easy being around him. So after exchanging numbers, we'd grab dinner a few times. Though, he mostly initiated it. After his hit Republic of China show, Felix gained a lot of fans. His agency seized the momentum with a slew of shows and scripts. But Felix would still make time for me, shoot me a text. Are you free today? Wanna grab dinner? I heard there's a new spot at 20. Wanna try it out? I'd reply with a simple, sure. Then Felix confessed to me. It was after recording a variety show. I was picking him up for dinner with some friends. In the car, he plunked down, looking exhausted but holding flowers he must have picked up along the way. He handed them to me and earnestly asked. Linda, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend? I was a bit stunned, then asked. You're rising in your career now. Does your agent know about this? Yeah. Alright, then let's be together. Back then, I was just 22, fresh out of college, learning the ropes at a new job. I had no clue how tough dating a male celeb could be. At first, Felix treated me so well. He'd message even during shoots, bring gifts from every city he visited, report dinner plans in detail. If I was upset, he'd put in the effort to comfort me, focusing on me outside work. Before I knew it, I was head over heels for Felix. While Felix was busy with various crush-worthy actresses on screen, I often felt hurt and neglected. Felix would comfort me, saying, "Honey, this is just work. You know you're the only one I love." So later on, all Felix could tell me was, "Linda, can you please stop acting like a princess? Can you just stop being so unreasonable?" This so-called princess flew overnight to see him after a fight. I, who had never lifted a finger, learned to cook because of Felix. I even cried over the phone to him, only to hear him say, "I'm tired. Hearing you cry stresses me out. Go ahead and cry, I'll hang up. Call me back when you've calmed down." Thinking of this, I texted Louis back. Upset about what? Upset that I finally saw Felix for who he is and left him? Felix really is a bit thick-skinned. One day he's rumored to be with Judy, and the next he's at my office doorstep. Dressed in black, with a mask, sunglasses, and a baseball cap, hiding behind a plant in the lobby, he jumped up when he saw me and followed me to my office. As soon as we were inside, he grabbed me and took off his sunglasses, looking at me. "Linda, it's not real with Judy. I only care about you. Linda, we've been together for 5 years, almost 2,000 days and nights. Don't you know who I am by now?" I pried Felix's hand off and just smiled at him. "Does any of that matter?" "Felix, we broke up already. You don't need to explain anything to me, it's not important anymore." While escorting Felix out, we bumped into Louis in the hallway. Our office building is downtown. My office is on the 22nd floor, and only my dad's office is on the same floor. As soon as Felix saw Louis, he flipped out. "What's your deal with Louis, Linda? Why is Louis here? Is this why you won't take me back?" His voice was so loud that my dad came out to check. Dad gave me a look and said, "Linda, handle this yourself," and then went back into his office. Louis ignored Felix and just said to me, "Sis, I'm here to run an errand for my dad. Our families have a lot of business ties, actually." Felix wanted to keep arguing, but Louis dragged him into the elevator. Before the doors closed, Louis smiled, waved his phone, and said, "No need to see me out, sis. Let's grab a bite next time." Honestly, Louis really does look better than Felix. One smile and you'd be dazzled. Back at my office, I saw that Louis had sent me his contact info. "Sis, Felix doesn't have a place here. In the same complex where Judy lives, huh?" I already knew without Louis saying so. Up until today, I was willing to listen to Felix. But he's become someone who always spins lies, no longer the Felix who once moved me. Suddenly, I've given up. Even if he explains, says more, I won't feel he's changed so much. Thinking back, when he first indirectly asked me for resources, he started changing. But back then, I was so into Felix, I was willing to give him everything. No matter what he did, I found ways to justify it, telling myself, it's okay, Felix loves me. This past month has been insanely busy, so when I finally got time to eat with Louis, Judy had already subtly confirmed her relationship with Felix to the media. Louis was filming, and I checked the time and maps, and offered to pick him up. "Sure. Thanks, sis," Louis replied. We've stayed in touch this month, and him calling me sis all the time makes having a cute younger brother kind of nice. When I got to the set, I saw Felix was there too. Louis dashed over when he saw me. "I didn't know Felix would be here today. He doesn't have scenes today." "No worries," I said, playing on my phone while waiting for Louis to remove his makeup. When I looked up, Felix was there, staring at me with a dark look. I thought for a moment and said, "I wish you and Judy the best." Felix replied, "Judy and I are not together. It's her company's idea for publicity." I didn't want to discuss more. Back when we were together, Felix did similar publicity stunts, always assuring me, "Babe, You know I just want to act, but if I don't do this, I won't get far. If you're not happy, I'll have the company reject it next time. I'd asked if it affected him. Felix always said, it doesn't matter. Your happiness is what matters. If you're happy, I'm happy. Too bad I didn't see then that Felix had quite the knack for playing games. Louis, being an idol, made us end up in the tabloids even though we were cautious while eating together. Louis's manager called, anxious to manage the situation, while Louis sat beside me unwrapping pine nuts. I had mentioned they tasted good but were a hassle, and Louis earnestly shelled them for me. The manager was so loud, I heard it all even though Louis wasn't on speaker. This happened when I was with Felix, too. Back then, Felix and I were in the honeymoon phase. The night before, we argued about where to go after Felix finished filming his current project. The next day, I flew over to apologize to Felix. When you're in love, even fighting doesn't last long, and you just need to see each other. Felix saw me and immediately wanted to take me out for a meal. But by the time we finished, we were all over the trending news. There we were on the entertainment headlines, popular actor's girlfriend revealed. Before Felix's agent called, I asked him what we should do. Felix held my hand and said, Linda, I like you. I want to tell everyone you're my girlfriend. His words moved me to tears, but I told him, let's keep it private for now. Felix was still persistent until his agent called. With an apologetic face, Felix said, sorry, Linda, the company doesn't agree with it. I always believed Felix genuinely liked me back then. That was until I accidentally overheard a conversation between Felix and his agent. The agent asked, Felix, are you serious about Linda? Well, you better hold on to her. There's a lot to gain. Felix simply said, we'll see. We didn't speak much after that. Felix gave me some half-hearted comfort before leaving for another city to film. Before he left, he told me, Linda, don't overthink it. It was just a casual remark between me and my agent. Please don't take it to heart. I insisted on an explanation, but Felix left without a word. During filming, he didn't contact me. Eventually, I gave in and reached out, telling him I had period pain. But it took Felix an entire day to reply. I knew the movie he was on, a big-budget film by a renowned director aiming for awards. Felix was playing a supporting role, while the leads were award-winning actors. He was just there to gain exposure. His part wasn't so demanding that he couldn't check his phone for a whole day. While driving, I was suggesting ideas to Louis. You can just say I'm your fan, the type who's been with you since your debut. You were touched by my dedication, so you agreed to have a meal with me. That way, you can build up your fan-loving reputation. That's how Felix handled the situation when we were caught having dinner together. I said it loud enough for Louis's agent to hear. Louis's agent seemed to have more to say but was cut off by Louis. No, she's not a fan. I was the one who asked her out for dinner. Let's talk later, man. I'll get back to you. After hanging up, Louis kept peeling pine nuts, and I was trying to lighten the mood when Louis put them into a small box. Sis, your idea is nice, but I can't agree. Because I'm your fan, Louis said seriously. I pulled over, confused. What? I'm no celebrity. What do you mean, fan? Louis looked at me and smiled. You probably don't remember. We went to the same school in high school. You saved a chubby kid in senior year. That was me. I thought back and remembered. I was quite a troublemaker in high school, always doing something. Without a specific event, I couldn't recall much. My mom passed away early, and my dad had only me. Unlike most businessmen, my dad didn't want me to study abroad. He wanted me where he could see me. So I ended up in a well-known private high school in City A. Back then, I was hanging out with Monica all the time, rebellious as ever, full of teenage angst. Over time, I got quite the reputation in high school. One day after exams, Monica and I were buying bubble tea when we saw a group bullying a chubby kid in an alley, trying to extort money. The kid was cornered, so I handed my bubble tea to Monica and took care of the bullies. The kid asked my name as I was leaving. I gave him my bubble tea and told him, Linda. I never would have guessed that kid was Louis. I stared at Louis's face, noticing how warm and bright it was when he smiled, with strong features when he wasn't. There was no trace of the past. Louis noticed me staring at him and broke the silence with a cough. Sis, you know how to fight, huh? Of course, I replied. My dad was worried I'd get kidnapped, so I learned taekwondo and all that. But that's not the important part. Louis nodded, then asked, then what is? I asked back, how come with all your family's money, you still got bullied? Starting the car again, I grabbed a pine nut and waited for the light to change. Louis replied, back then, I just didn't have any confidence. Lately, I've been a trending topic magnet. Right after dropping Louis at his company, I found myself on the trending list again. While I was at the set talking to Felix, some paparazzi snapped photos. Judy had just confirmed her relationship with Felix a few days ago, and now Felix and I were caught. The angle made it look like Felix and I were quite close. Reporters quickly went to question Judy. Conveniently, Judy was at the airport today and was stopped right after getting off the plane. The video showed Judy's eyebrows furrowing, then relaxing, saying, there's nothing I can do. After all, Linda is a wealthy heiress. The interviewer, sensing a juicy story, asked, are you saying Linda is forcing her way in? Judy replied, I didn't mean that. Then, the security guards around Judy rushed over, escorting her out of the airport. It really made me think of her as some kind of spoiled rich girl using money to bully others. When Monica called me, I was in the middle of downloading some chat screenshots from my cloud storage. I've been with Felix for 5 years, and he's showered me with sweet talk countless times. Things like promising he'd marry me, I heard it a million times. I had captured all those vows we made with the intention of reminiscing later. But thinking about it now, there's nothing to reminisce about. Luckily, I've been so busy lately that I haven't even thought about deleting those screenshots from the cloud. Oh, and there's something else. On set, when I realized Felix was standing right in front of me, I discreetly started a recording on my phone. I don't work in the entertainment world, but I know enough about it because of Felix. You have to be careful all the time. I sent all that stuff to the company's PR department. Then, Monica told me that Judy, she's totally into Felix. I asked around. Judy joined the scene because of him. Yeah, I knew that. I'd seen Judy on Felix's phone countless times, but they were always so proper, never crossing any lines. Since they had worked together, I couldn't just ask Felix to delete Judy's contact over this. The internet was already up in arms. Up to this point, Felix only stated once that he's single now. If none of this had happened, Judy would be the one getting all the hate from the fans. But now, it looks like I'm the one using power to bully people. The drama hit its peak when the company PR released my screenshots and audio recordings. Around the same time, Louis posted something online. I've been chasing Linda forever, and she still hasn't budged. Felix, what makes you think you're better than me? Louis rose to fame as an idol, and his boldness earned him a ton of fans. But clearly, this situation is completely different. I immediately called Louis, are you out of your mind? You're an idol with tons of girlfriend fans. Are you trying to sabotage your career? And, when did you even start pursuing me? Linda, you must be pretty oblivious not to notice, Louis replied. After hearing that, I immediately called Monica. At that point, the internet chatter had already shifted, and I was sure the PR department could handle the rest. Listening to me, Monica started analyzing. I suspect Louis has liked you for a long time. I mean, have you noticed how often you bump into Louis? After what Monica said, I thought about it. Geez, yeah, we do run into each other all the time. Especially after my breakup with Felix, it seems like fate with Louis. Like that one time Felix came to the office to see me. If I remember correctly, that was the first time Louis had ever been there. With both companies working together so much, how come I never saw Louis around before? The more I thought about it, the more I realized that Louis had been sending me bags and chatting me up all month. When I told Monica about this, she went silent for a bit, then asked, "How could you not see it?" I mean, Louis didn't say anything. He said the gifts were just to comfort me after the breakup. What's the deal between you two anyway? Why is he comforting you? Monica had a point. I was silent for a moment. I've been so busy lately, my dad wants to hand over the company to me soon. I've got a lot to learn. I guess I've been too occupied to think about all this. By evening, the Felix and Judy drama was still trending online. Fans from both camps were stirring chaos. When Louis stopped by while I was working, he waited in the lobby for 3 or 4 hours. When I finally finished, I noticed Louis had really dressed up, looking sharp with his gold-rimmed glasses. Seeing me, he said seriously. It wasn't until someone pointed it out that I realized I should speak up. "I'm sorry, I didn't know before. Linda, I've liked you for a long time. Do you want to try being with me?" As I stayed silent, Louis got anxious and said, "I'm not like Felix. I'd go public with our relationship right away. I don't care about those girlfriend fans." Realizing how that might come off, he added, "I'm not saying Felix is bad. I just have a different perspective than Felix when it comes to choices." His cautiousness made me laugh. "So, you're defending Felix?" "No, it's because you liked Felix before. I know you have good taste. At the very least, Felix must have loved you at some point." Louis's words caught me off guard, and I paused for a while, twirling the car keys in my hand. "Let's just go get some dinner." The drama around Felix and Judy ended with both sides losing out. Just when I thought it was all over, Judy released a bunch of screenshots of her and Felix messaging each other. Their conversations were flirty, and the timestamps showed it was before Felix and I even broke up. Judy, out of nowhere, got my phone number and called me crying. "Linda, I've liked Felix for so many years. He told me he didn't love you. Said you were cold and composed. Felix said sometimes he doesn't feel love from you. Linda, I never wanted this. But I love Felix so much, even knowing it's wrong, I still did it." I listened to Judy sobbing for a while and then told her, "No worries, don't worry. Neither you nor Felix will get away with this." Then I instructed the company's PR department to make sure they really dig into Judy and Felix. If this can't be solved legally, then let's turn to morals. I wasn't too concerned about what ultimately happened between Judy and Felix. Monica mentioned that Felix seemed to have been abandoned by his agency. And as for Judy, with so many actresses in the industry, new faces keep popping up constantly. It's like an endless cycle of competition. Not being in the spotlight for a bit means the newer talents quickly outshine you. Felix reached out to me later, his voice hoarse, asking me, "Linda, did you ever really like me?" I told him, "Felix, it doesn't matter anymore." After that talk in the company lounge, Louis really started pursuing me. Louis left the entertainment world at 27 to learn how to manage his family's business. He was super busy when he first started, but even then, he made time to have meals with me and always took care of my feelings. He always had a response for every word and took action with everything he promised. On my 28th birthday, Louis booked a place to celebrate. When I got there, I found it filled with flowers, and he stood in the middle, asking, "Linda, I like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" When I was younger, I always thought I'd date someone older. But after my experience with Felix, I hit a wall and everyone told me Felix wasn't worth it. Only Louis said I had good taste and assured me Felix must have loved me. Honestly, I moved on from Felix a while ago. Whether he loved me or not doesn't matter now. But hearing Louis say those things made me feel valued. I can't pinpoint when I started having feelings for Louis, but by the time I realized it, he was always right there. I looked at Louis and smiled, sure. The end. Epilogue, Felix. The first time Felix met Linda was just as he was becoming famous. Back then, he had just hit it big. The heiress of the Monica family came looking for him, saying her friend liked him and asked if he had time to grab a meal together. Before Felix could reply, his newly assigned agent quickly said, "He's free, he's free." So they arranged the time and place, and that's when Linda showed up in front of Felix. It was pouring rain that day Felix met Linda. His agent had rushed him over from the set, subtly reminding him that she was a wealthy heiress with money and resources, and that he should make a good impression. But when Felix saw Linda, he just thought she looked like a fresh college grad, so pure, smiling at everyone. Later, he found out she had, in fact, just graduated. That day, Felix ended up picking up the tab, something his agent had insisted on since it would likely lead to future meetings. Felix had been in the industry for 3 years by then and understood the ins and outs of networking. He joined the field out of a true love for acting. But over time, his perspective seemed to shift. Sure enough, after Linda dropped Felix back at the set that day, she asked for his contact, arranging to meet again. But usually, it was Felix who reached out, nudged by his agent. As they spent more time together, Felix found Linda optimistic, vibrant, and though she seemed carefree, she was actually very attentive. During that time, Felix was incredibly busy. Just becoming famous meant upping his exposure. Every day he was so busy it felt like his feet didn't touch the ground. Meal times were spent in the back of a van. After a while, he started having stomach pains. Once during a meal, Felix winced in discomfort. Linda asked what was wrong. Felix casually mentioned his stomach was upset. The next day, Linda shot him a message at noon reminding him to eat and said she'd ordered some soup for him. He couldn't quite pinpoint what made him fall for Linda. When Felix told his agent about it, the agent just patted his shoulder. "Didn't think you'd ever have those feelings. Go for it, win over the heiress." So, Felix confessed his feelings to Linda. He really did like her. Having grown up in a broken home with divorced parents who didn't care much for him, Felix had spent his youth in tough spots. In the industry, he'd been playing minor roles for 3 years without anyone caring. Linda was like a burst of light, illuminating Felix's world. How could he not be drawn to her? But Linda was really exceptional. She wasn't just any heiress, she was talented and ambitious too. She managed her family's company efficiently and often joined her dad at meetings, shining brightly. Felix had never met someone like Linda. Things were great during their honeymoon phase, but eventually, he started questioning why Linda would even like him. He wasn't the best looking or the most popular star. So, what was it about him? It didn't help that Felix overheard a conversation between Louis and his agent. Louis was from the same company, a wealthy kid who chose the acting route despite being from a rich family. He was serious and hardworking. Louis said, "Bro, I know Felix is her boyfriend. Don't worry, I won't do anything." "Why am I still in the industry?" "Because I've already started. I need to achieve something, otherwise, my family would laugh at me." Look, what a gap there was, huh? He stayed in the industry to prove himself to his family. But Felix had no choice, he had to commit fully. Felix forgot that Louis also spent sleepless nights on set and endured injuries from doing stunts, all because he took acting seriously. Those were Felix's most paranoid days. And in that time, Judy showed up. Wearing a white dress and shoes, carrying flowers, Judy came up to Felix and said, "I'm your fan. I've liked you since you debuted. I joined the industry because of you." Felix felt like Linda was slipping away, so he instinctively learned to manipulate, making Linda apologize for everything. Judy's presence made Felix feel special, knowing someone had been a fan for so long. So Felix and Judy got closer, more ambiguous. Felix was smart, deleting chats and keeping up appearances with Linda perfectly, never letting anything slip. But Linda still broke up with him. Felix couldn't understand. He hadn't replied to one of Linda's messages for a day. Was that such a big deal? Would cramps kill someone? Linda simply wasn't into him anymore. Yes, Felix saw the message. But he was busy chatting with Judy, thinking he'd get back to Linda later, and then he just forgot. Felix also forgot how severe Linda's cramps were. In their first year, he had made her ginger tea and stayed up all night worried about her. Felix still loved Linda, though now he was swayed and didn't care as much. Everything that happened next was a surprise to Felix. Especially when he saw Louis at the company. Felix was convinced, Linda doesn't love me anymore. She likes someone else now. Lucky we broke up, or Linda would have definitely cheated. It wasn't until much later that Linda and Louis's wedding became a hot topic online. People were saying it was like a scene from a high society romance novel coming to life. By then, Felix hadn't acted in a while. He lay alone in his apartment watching this grand wedding of the century. Felix took out his phone and looked at pictures from when he was with Linda. Oh, maybe at one point, Linda really did like him. Epilogue, Louis. Louis entered the entertainment industry because of Linda. At the time, Louis was having dinner with a group of friends when he saw Linda and Monica. Teenage Louis was quite overweight, so much so that Linda didn't recognize him as the chubby kid from senior year who she'd once helped. He overheard Linda talking to Monica about a new star. Monica, that new actor, Felix, I really like him. Can you arrange a dinner? Sure, no problem, Monica said. Louis really liked Linda, liked her a lot. From high school, really. Linda was vibrant, beautiful, and bold. Louis couldn't forget that fleeting moment in high school when he saw her, even deciding then to lose weight. He always wanted to stand in front of Linda and say, "Hi Linda, I'm Louis. I really like you. Would you be my girlfriend?" Despite having money, Louis had always been insecure because of a strict upbringing. His family believed in harsh discipline, so young Louis was often beaten. Later, he got sick and gained weight, which made him even less satisfied with himself. But meeting Linda inspired him to improve. Young love is the most sincere, and Louis's love lasted for many years. Unfortunately, he was a step too late. Linda liked Felix first. Friends advised Louis to give up, but he drank all night and called his dad. "Dad, I've decided to enter the entertainment industry." His father asked why. "I want the girl I like to notice me." That was just Louis's way of thinking. He figured Linda liked Felix because she noticed him. So, if he could also be noticed, maybe things would change. Louis could sing and dance well enough, so he joined a talent show. Entering the industry, he realized why Linda liked Felix. Felix was hardworking and earnest, often redoing scenes until he got them right and filling scripts with notes. Louis told his friends, "Wow, no wonder Linda likes him. He's so good." His friends responded, "Are you crazy? He's your rival." Louis did everything with determination since high school. In the industry, he didn't use any of his family's resources and carved a successful path himself. Louis noticed Felix's change and felt terrible about it. Why did Felix change? Linda was so good to him, and loved him so much. Louis tried to hint to Linda, but she only had eyes for Felix and noticed nothing else. Louis was anxious. The day Felix's new movie premiered, Louis planned to watch it, given Felix's commendable acting. But he saw Linda there and learned they broke up. Louis initially felt happy but quickly realized Linda must be upset. Louis struggled to find a way to comfort her until his agent called. "Felix is coming back tonight to renew his contract. Pick him up at the airport to show some brotherly love." "No," Louis said. The agent explained, "Linda might be there, but Judy will be too." "Who do you think Felix will go with?" Louis rushed to meet Linda. He had to tell her that Felix wasn't worth her anymore. Linda was decisive. When she said break up, it was final. Louis's friends urged him to act fast, saying, "What are you waiting for? Another Felix?" None of them had any real experience with relationships. Louis created a chat group for advice on how to interpret Linda's messages and what to text back. With help, he finally won Linda over. Now married for 3 years, Louis prepared dinner early, waiting for Linda's return. In recent years, her father had slowly handed over the business to her, making Linda busier. Louis didn't mind since his dad's still running things. Linda came home near midnight and kissed him. "Have you been waiting long?" "Not really," he replied. Looking at Louis, Linda said, "Louis, let's have a baby. Once I'm pregnant, my dad could return to the business." Louis was taken aback, then hugged her tightly. "Okay." Late at night, Louis held Linda's hand, grateful for the chance to meet her during his toughest times. He'd been so lucky. He had his sunshine now and vowed to always love her as he did when they were young. "The best thing I ever did was marry you. You'll forever hold a special place in my heart."